Happy Wednesday, Canadian wine lovers. Today, we're talking Domaine de Grand Pre, Nova Scotia, the Pan-Canadian Wine Masterclass, and the Chardonnay Marathon. Stay with us. Hey, happy Wine Wednesday. You cut it off earlier. It was 2 seconds left. That's not fair. I was about to spit in the cup. Canadian wine lovers, Carl's Wine Club members, welcome. Happy Wednesday. I got tricked by Mira. It's going to be a good one, everyone. So, welcome, Mira Boucher. How are ya?
Great. How are you doing, Carl Boucher?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Another great day here in the Okanagan Valley. Another busy day, another busy week in the world of Carl's Wine Club. But welcome, everyone. Nice to see you, Mira. Feel like if I haven't seen you in a couple days,
Yeah.
I've been driving. Yeah, driving up.
You were doing two things, weren't you? You were getting ready for a feature of a brand new winery that most of you may have never heard of from the Wine Village.
Yeah. And but I know, but that was not the main reason of the trip. The main reason of the trip was, and we're going to talk about it later on, but I have to show it. That was the main reason of the trip. So hot sauce and the wine jelly. Yeah, baby. Oh, yeah. So hot sauce and wine jelly. Yes. So that was the main reason of the trip today. But we ended up coming back with 13 bottles of wines. So, yeah.
Well, why hot sauce and wine jelly, and why today? Well, because we tasted 63 Chardonnays side by side last Sunday. And we decided to not waste what we couldn't consume before it goes on.
And trust me, it's a shitload of Chardonnays. So, yeah.
And really good Chardonnay, like some of the best in the country. Like your top 5, top 10 is outstanding. Actually, since we're on that,
I would say, Mira, sorry, we need to rephrase that. I believe that my top 15 and all 92 plus points. And they are like all of these wines in the top 15 that's going to be published tomorrow, by the way. Top 5 BC's already been published. Top 5 Ontario has been published already. Tomorrow, I'm publishing the top 15 of the whole 67, 65. So yeah, stay tuned on social media to see my top 15. But the quality. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Just like the quality of Chardonnay that we are now producing in Canada, it's off the chart. It's absolutely incredible. When we're talking like world class, absolutely world class. We need to be named. We need to be part of the conversation when we're talking about the best Chardonnay producers in the world. Our name has to be there. Because the type of Chards that we're producing is absolutely freaking fantastic at a great price point. So, yeah, what an experience. It was fantastic. And we had some taster with us behind the scene. And at the end of the day, everyone had the same, let's say, reflection. Everyone had the same thought that the quality level of what we're doing here is mind-boggling. So.
And since we're on this topic, I mean, I would say we've done this varietal marathon kind of thing for quite a few varietals now. I would say Chardonnay is right up there in terms of what we do so well in Canada on both sides of the country. Like compared to the other varietals, I feel like Chardonnay stands out. We have some really exceptional.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. I mean, we did rosé a couple weeks ago with close to 60 rosés. I mean, the rosés were great, but not at the same level than what we're doing Chardonnay. I mean, we do some great Rieslings. We do some really, really good Rieslings, but I don't think that at a high level, we make as many good Riesling as we make as many good Chardonnays. I mean, the quantity of good Chardonnays that we're doing, that's what's astonishing to me. It's not that we have a few amazing one. No, it's how many amazing one that we're doing. That's where it stands out to me. It's not like the little cream of the crop at the top. It's the amount of amazing producers of Chardonnay that we're having across the country. And to all of my friends in Western Canada, to all of my BC people, don't take it the wrong way. But I believe, I don't want to be controversial here, I have to say it, I believe that Ontario in general, not only Niagara, but Ontario in general, has a slight edge on our BC counterpart. I feel like you told me, don't say that, don't say it.
You have to say why. And I think the reason why is because what we've seen in Ontario the last 10 years is a huge focus on terroir, led by people like Thomas Batchelder, who are saying, I'm going to map Niagara based on
one vineyard at the time. To me, it's about that vineyard designation, that sub-appellation Huber focus, especially in Chardonnay.
It makes a big difference.
Yeah, I think so. I believe so. I really, really believe so. And when we turn around and we look at BC and my list and my top 5, I mean, in my top 5, there's producers where it's almost all single vineyard appellation as well. Look at, I had Mira. Well, with the micro cuvée Mira, I believe that it's from one single vineyard on the Naramata bench. With my number 2 of BC, it's from Upper Bench. So Upper Bench is a single vineyard Naramata bench. I don't know about the Kamloops wine though. And you go to by the De Silva number 5, it's 2 single vineyard blended together, but from the Penticton area. So here we see like where we're a little bit more precise. And I like, if I remember correctly, like Colmena. Colmena has a focus on Margaret Bench, and it shows in their Chardonnay. So I believe that when we really truly focus on terroir, when it's time for Chardonnay, that's what you extract the absolutely best of what you can do with that. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Very cool. So yeah, that was something we noticed as a trend in that Chardonnay review, and we'll have it in the written version. In that, how many BC wineries did we find that had more than 1 or 2 Chardonnays because they were doing this really specific terroir-driven focus?
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. When I look at my top Ontario, the top score of Ontario Chardonnay that I had, let's say Batchelder, Thomas Batchelder does 9 or 10 or 12 different Chardonnays. He really
based
focused
on different vineyards and blocks and vineyard blocks.
That's it. Leaning Post, well, that's the thing, right? Leaning Post, my number 2, they have at least 5 or 6 different Chardonnays. So, and the list goes on, like number 3, who's my number 3? Pearl Morissette. Pearl have not, maybe Pearl has 2 or 3 Chardonnays. The St. Cindy from Prince Edward County, from Rose Hall Run. Rose Hall Run have 5 or 6 different Chardonnays. So that's to your point. When I look at our BC counterpart, almost all of our BC produce a Chardonnay, but they do 1 or maybe 2.
Yeah,
and
I think it speaks to 2 things. One is there's lack of that focus necessarily on, hey, we want to showcase just a specific vineyard in our Chardonnay, and we want to compare that to this other vineyard across the street. There's less of that focus here, but also it has probably something to do with volume because it's so much smaller in terms of volume in BC that it's probably hard for wineries to split it up. They're already making only like 100 cases of their Chardonnay. You can't split that up anymore or you'd go bankrupt. So, you know, some of these larger wineries in Ontario, they can say, well, I'm going to make 100 cases of my Chardonnay times 400 cases.
Yeah.
They have the ability to source grapes and do more stuff like that. Hey,
well, you're right. I think it's a point that I would like to discuss with more of our owners here in our winemaker to see where the where's the reason. Like, it's really interesting. So yeah, shout out to all of our Chardonnay producers here, BC and Ontario, for the quality. There was some surprise in there. Some really, really, really cool surprise when I talk from Kamloops, like part of the top 5 BC. And by
the way, Mike LaPlante, who's tuning in right now, tipped a few members off on this. That Living Land Series Chardonnay 2020 from Monte Creek is apparently on sale at the LCBO right now for something like $15, including tax.
This is absolutely crazy. Okay. So, let's backtrack 3 days earlier. Okay, Sunday, I'm sitting outside on the patio. I had 65 Chardonnays open from all over the country. The average price, Mira, please, confirm these numbers because you're the super researchist behind these numbers. So the average price of the Chardonnay that we opened, I think we opened for a total of $2,500 retail price total of Chardonnays on Sunday.
Okay,
correct?
So let me tell you, since I'm the researchist. Okay, so we had 63 Chardonnays open. Of those 63, we did not know the price of 8 of them because they were pre-releases, not on the winery website, wine club exclusives, things like that. So, or back vintages. So we did not have exact pricing from 8 of them. The ones we did have prices for, the total came to $2,100 and I think $50. So we had $2,150 worth of Chardonnay, including tax, plus the ones 8 we didn't have prices for. So yeah, close to $2,500, and the average price was $39, including tax.
And on average. So then that includes a few $16 that we have entry level and all of that. So that is pretty crazy. $39 average. Anyway, my point to that is we had some $75, $78, $80 Chardonnay in that lineup. And my number two BC Chardonnay, Monte Creek, Living Land from Kamloops, that I gave 93 plus points. The price point is $18.75 at the LCBO.
According to Mike and members. So yes, if you
and according to my research too, I couldn't find anything like what I saw that was $20. That was like, and I couldn't believe it. I thought it was a mistake somehow. So yeah, that's pretty darn crazy. And they were going ahead, like from BC, they're going ahead wines like the micro cuvee from Mira Estate, the Silva, the Upper Bench, the Colmina. I mean, like there were some pretty not expensive, but much higher price point than the Living Land. But wow, big shout out to the Kamloops team at Monte Creek. Well done. I cannot believe what was in my glass, because like at the second that I smell and taste, I'm like I thought there was something wrong with the price. I'm like, there's no way. So yeah, that was pretty cool, pretty darn cool. And in terms of Ontario top 10, top 5, listen, there is no surprise that one of the Thomas Batchelder finished at the top. It was kind of expected, but what was unexpected, it was the one from Niagara on the Lake. the Wilms Vigne de 1983, so vines from 1983 vines from Niagara on the Lake. On Sunday, showed the best. The 2020 Bachelor Wilms showed the best. I was expecting that the Hill of Wingfield, which is a smaller production, some of the cream of the crop, super high rated from all of the other critics, did not necessarily show better than the Niagara on the Lake one on Sunday. But, and I told you that on Monday because 2 days of tasting, and it's rare. And I have to say that, and I will confess to everyone who are listening, everyone who's going to listen later on, it's rare that I end up tasting a wine over 2 to 3 days and saying, you know what? I did not get all the way through the wine. What I mean by that, I couldn't figure it out, the entire concept of that wine. I couldn't figure it out, the entire substance of that wine. I couldn't figure out the whole flavor profile and aromas. There was always something else developing the second day or the third day and the night of. Like it was weird that it's like getting in your car, getting into a tunnel and driving with no light and not seeing the end of the tunnel and just keep it going. And I just couldn't figure out the end of that wine. I don't know if it makes sense what I'm saying, or it's just.
It does, because I tasted it, so I know what you mean. It was just like a crescendo, and you were like, it wasn't worrisome, okay? There are some wines where that happens, and you're like, okay, there's something weird.
Yeah, it's too much. There's too much going on. It's okay. It's like going to a fine dining restaurant where there's too many little components in your plate. They try to do too much, right? A tartare with 17 dots of different flavors around, and 2/3 of them don't match with the beef tartare. Like you're like, why are they doing that, right? What's the point?
It was not like that. It was not like that, right?
Or no, it's a dish where things were all matching together. Things were all, but it just kept going and swirling and coming back. And it was just weird.
But in a good way.
In a good way, absolutely. But like out of 65, it finished in my top 5 Ontario. So, and hey, there's wine like Leaning Post, Stonebridge, Rose Hall Run, Clausen. There's so many big names from Ontario, and that wine made it to the top 5. So, including the Niagara on the Lake counterpart, the Wilms vines of 1983. So, I mean, no, it was not a bad wine.
So here's my theory on the Enigma wines, okay? Because you're saying basically it was a bit of an enigma. We asked Richard De Silva about that a while back. What makes his Legato Chardonnay, especially the 2016 that we had, that was what, a 90, what points did you give it? 95? 95 plus? 96? I can't remember exactly. Very highly rated wine, and we asked him like what makes that specific Chardonnay so special, what makes it different than your usual Chardonnay, and he just said over the years he noticed there's this one block of his vineyard that always wants to do its own thing when it comes to Chardonnay. So he started to take that out separately and keep it separate from the rest of his Chardonnay, and he said it's the most nerve-wracking part of his vineyard because it's a bit of an enigma. It has its own personality, right? Yeah. And it's maybe similar to Hill of Wingfield.
And you know, and on the long run, I believe that 2020 Hill of Wingfield will probably run by Wilms Vigne of 1983, I believe, because Hill of Wingfield is just getting started. I gave it between 93 and 95. It's an open score. It was the only wine with an open score out of 65, because that's the only one that I couldn't see the end. That's plain and simple. So yeah, so we had some very, very special wine. If you ask for my surprise, I mentioned Monte Creek. I knew, but there was one thing. Let's backtrack a month ago.
Yeah.
we did a Chardonnay party for my birthday, and Rob Hammersley brought a Monte Creek Living Land Chardonnay to the party, and it was like among like much more expensive Chardonnay. It was the best Chardonnay of the night, so I knew, but I didn't truly pay attention of like in depth of it. But now, like on the spot, under the spotlight on a Sunday night, I mean, like it's game time, and we have like all of the all-star lining up, and this freaking one, like that little $20 wine, just absolutely shined through. So that was obviously surprise number one. Surprise number two, I have to say, Lunescence Micro Lot 2022 was very, very, very surprising. I did not expect that much from that, such a new vintage. It was really good and really delicious. Another surprise.
I remember tasting that on multiple occasions the last few days.
Yeah, and one more surprise, Bob. I have a few more that I want to mention. The 2019 Bellaterra Chardonnay. It's a brand new. It's not available just yet. It's not out, and this. I mean, it was the leader in the clubhouse for a long time, for a long part of the tasting. That $35 Chardonnay was the best of the lineup until we got to the very, very top producer, the top specialized producer in the country. Because if you ask me, is Bellaterra known for their Chardonnay? I would say they make some great Chardonnay. First, they made the best Chardonnay bubbly of the tasting. Them and the Bellaterra Blanc de Blanc and the 13th Street Blanc de Blanc were the two best sparkling. But when you look at the portfolio of Bellaterra, I don't think necessarily of Chardonnay first when I look at their portfolio. So to have their Chard like leading the top score for such a long period of time until the bachelors or the leading, like the very specialized Chardonnay guys came along later in the tasting. So that I was really surprised. And I bet that Marcel didn't even taste it himself just yet. So to have him live as well while we were tasting, it was pretty cool. So yeah, we had some taster who were there behind the scene who put their Bellaterra in the top 5. So it tells a lot about the quality of that brand new 2019. And keep in mind, the 2017 of that Bellaterra had won gold at the Chardonnay du Monde. So maybe now we'll have to start take Bellaterra and maybe a little bit more seriously when it's time to Chardonnay. So yeah, best on oak Chardonnay. I believe that I think very clearly the clear cut win. No, there was two very, very good on oak. It was Malivoire. The Malivoire small lot dominated, and also surprisingly, Priest Creek. The Priest Creek 2022 from East Kelowna was pretty surprising in terms of the on oak. But yeah, what a day. It was absolutely amazing. And I shouldn't have started with the Chardonnay. I knew I will go on and on. I can talk about it for another hour and a half. But we have so much to touch base today. I think I have. And do you know what's in your glass right now?
Well, this is the third glass you gave me. I still have the other two here.
Yeah, that's the third glass. So in that glass here, that's day 4 of Leaning Post Chardonnay.
You're kidding. Oh
my. No, I'm not.
My God, it's really good.
It didn't make it. Sorry, it didn't make it to the jelly for the Leaning Post.
That's incredible.
So yeah. So anyway, so this is Leaning Post. So
okay,
now,
so all that to say is I don't know if it's just me, but you're cutting out like crazy, Carl. You might want to come downstairs if it doesn't stop. You can get me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So all that to say is we had the 63
Let's
bottles of
ask.
Chardonnay
Let's ask
open.
people who are listening.
Best one.
Mira, hold on. Let's ask people who are listening. Do I cut out? Do you guys can hear me properly? Yes or no? Please put it in.
So I had a thing on my screen saying there's an issue and it's gone now, but hopefully it's gone now. It's all good. So the 63 bottles of Chardonnay, we took the best ones and we took them down to a place called Lone Willow Wine Jellies down in Osoyoos or Oliver. Yeah, Carl, yes. Mira, no. Mira is cutting out. Okay, sorry, guys. Hopefully it's gone. Tell us if it's not gone, please, because...
all good now. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, so we took the best bottles of Chardonnay and we went down to this place that makes wine jelly for a lot of the wineries in the area, and they made us some wine jelly. This is just a sample. This isn't the real thing because it says rosé wine jelly. But we're going to have Chardonnay wine jelly from the top 10 or so Chardonnays that we tasted on the Chardonnay review day. So that's pretty exciting. And guess who's getting the first of those? It's going to be everyone attending the masterclass in Niagara next Friday, August 18th. It'll be a small gift, a little token of our appreciation to everyone that attends. We have people who are literally flying across the country to be at this masterclass. It's going to be only about 50 people, and everyone will get a little Chardonnay jelly from our Chardonnay review day. And after that, they will also be available for members to purchase at some point. So kind of exciting. What
that
else
is pretty good.
So if you wait till the end, after we talk about Domaine de Grand Pre, which I'm so excited about, if you wait till the end, we're going to taste the jelly because we have to check on how spicy it is. And Carl, what are you going to taste at the end?
That's a hot sauce. They make also hot sauce with rosé or with red wine. So I'm going to test out the hot sauce after. So
we've got Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot days that we're going to do in the next 6 months. So we're thinking maybe we'll make like a Merlot hot sauce. Or
why not? Why not, right?
So we're just going to test them at the end to see, like how spicy they are.
Hey, Mira, just one thing though, okay? Before we, but not before I forget, because I'm not going to forget that, but I would like to do it a couple times tonight. We just talk about the masterclass, right? We talk about the jelly that we're going to give. But first and foremost, I would like to say that this masterclass, it's been in the work for a long time. We've been talking about it, Marcel Morgenstern and myself, for a long time, but it will not be possible if Joe Pilateri and Lakeview Vineyard Equipment have not stepped up to the plate as a sponsor, and ASL Fixed Print as well. These are our two main sponsors that made this super cool, very important wine event in Canada. They made that happen with their support and their sponsorship. Without that, it would have been much harder to get all of that together. So thank you, Joe. Thank you to the people at ASL Print. We greatly appreciate your support, and we can't wait to have you on at the masterclass as well, and see you in person. So I really wanted to do a little shout out here, Mira. So sorry for cutting you off.
No, absolutely. I love it. And we also have a bit of a revamp on our next day on August 19th. Because there's quite a few members that have now flown in to be at the masterclass. And we have our celebration with Sue-Ann at Sue-Ann Staff Estate Winery to do the Members' Choice #1 Ontario Winery of the Year celebration. We just wanted to get together at the winery and have some fun with our members and celebrate that Sue-Ann was voted #1 of our Ontario discoveries last year. So there will be some wine touring on that Saturday, Carl's Wine Club style. And there will be also some Riesling and grilled cheese tasting, some Cab Franc and Riesling and chocolate tasting, and there will be some fabulous dinner that we will have together in the vineyards. So, yeah.
I have secured a pretty cool tasting at Pearl Mauriset on that day in the morning. And we have the general manager and also assistant winemaker, Svetlana, is going to be taking care of our group for a very special tasting at Pearl Mauriset. So that is really freaking exciting. I'm still debating. I have some different option here for picnic in the vineyard for after. What we're going to do in the middle, and we're going to finish that day of touring with the grilled cheese and Riesling, back vintage Riesling with Suan and Cap Franc and chocolate as well. So we're going to do 3 epic visit on the 19 as well. So it's going to be pretty cool to do.
So if you are in Niagara or you have a way to get there, then join us. Make sure you do. And if you're already joining us, we're so excited to see you. And last thing on the masterclass is we have 5 of the 10 winemakers involved actually coming to it in person. And we just heard today there may be a 6th. We'll find out tomorrow for sure.
Yeah, it's more than a maybe at this point. It's probably, like, with the conversation that I had with Richard De Silva, I mean, this is like almost, it's 80%. And I'm going to talk to him a little later on tonight, and probably Richard's going to be present. So we're going to hear everything about the Chenin Blanc, because we're going to serve a 93 points Chenin Blanc. It's grown on the Ramada bench, and I can't wait. And to have Richard present on site in the same room that Lou Puglisi and Rob Hammersley and Brian Schmidt and Keith Tyre and Ilya Senchuk. I mean, it's mind-boggling. Like, it's absolutely freaking crazy. Like, to have all of these guys and gals, because they're all gonna, all of these people together, it's just crazy. It's crazy to have that. And oh, by the way, we have 9 bottles of Montepulciano Rosé in the air right now, on the way to Ontario. So a little new addition who was confirmed by the D'Angelo family today. I have the tracking number, so the wine is on the way. And
very exciting.
9 bottles. So Marcel, there's one exclusively for you to take home. As a thank you for everything, and a big thank you to Bellaterra Winery, because without Bellaterra and Marcel, this thing will not even be talked about. Okay, so this is a crazy idea that we had in our head, and talking with Marcel, the guy he is, make everything happen. And like, this is with our sponsor and the help of Marcel. Hey, while we're here, how about we move along with the video. Marcel was on TV this morning at CHCH Niagara. And how about we listen to Marcel, what he had to say on TV. It's so cool to see so many BC wines on TV in Niagara with a Niagara guy. It's the coolest thing ever.
Absolutely. So here we go.
Oh, technical issues. Oh, might not gonna happen. Anyway, I'm gonna chat while Mira's trying to get that going. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. But yeah, Marcel was on today, early this morning at CHCH in Niagara, and to see that Black Market 2019 Merlot on, like, right there on TV, to see bottles of Mount Boucherie and the Silva Vineyard, like, standing right up there on TV, in Niagara. It's pretty cool. And to me, it's that sign of collaboration. Like the whole idea of that Pan-Canadian Masterclass is not a competition. It's not which one of these wines are the best. To us, the idea is to show how, like, so much of the how this lineup complement each other. How that in our country we grow Pinot Gris, Merlot, Riesling, Chardonnay, like the Chenin Blanc. How did we put together the Tidal Bay appellation? All of these stories. It's not only the wines, it's not only the grape varietals, it's the story behind these spectacular wines, the stories of the producers, the story of the sub-region. When you put all that together, it's becoming a big pot of information, of like that juicy story that I can't wait to have these people on site and share all of these stories together. So yeah, it is really, really, really exciting. And yeah, so Painted Rock, one of the most iconic BC wine, the Red Icon 2019, the original vines, Mount Bushry, the Merlot, the unsanctioned Merlot. So we're talking about Cab Sauv, Merlot, red blend, so a Bordeaux blend. So what's BC's known for, right? And the Naramata Bench Chenin Blanc. So here's 4 wines from the Okanagan, and we're looking at Vancouver Island, a Pinot Gris Ramato style. Oh, what's Ramato style? Well, it's an old ancient winemaking technique that they use with Pinot Gris to do skin contact, and it makes it kind of a rosé Pinot Gris, but with much more flavor. So anyway, Zach Brown has been doing for 15 years a Ramato style Pinot Gris on Vancouver Island. So guess what? It's going to be there in Niagara. Like the wine is there already, and we're going to tease that all together with the story of Zach Brown and Alderlea Vineyard. And moving to Ontario to have Pete Tyre from Clausen Chase in Prince Edward County, tasting the brand new Churchside, who just got 95 points by Wine Align, tasting that new 2020 release, because Prince Edward County has to be known for their Chardonnay, right? So we're going to taste that. Leaning Post, Elias Sanchuk, who's going to be there telling his story. How did he start at the Sanchuk Vineyard, who's now like almost at the same level of quality that Grimsby Hillside Vineyard, and Wismer Foxcroft, and like he's building something like amazing. Lou Puglisi, who was the Grape King in 2008, I believe, or 2007, that now is going to tell his story, and we're going to taste his new Cabernet Franc. So, who made our top 10 wine of the year? The story of Brian Schmidt, tell by Brian himself. So anyway, I can go on and I can't forget the story of the Stutz family, the Tidal Bay appellation, the brand new Tidal Bay wine, like from Nova Scotia. When we say Pan-Canadian, this is not a joke. We're talking about from Nova Scotia to Vancouver Island, like literally. So how cool is that? This is pretty darn cool.
So it's really cool. We're going to share that clip from CHTV a little later and near the end, because I really want to talk about Grand Pre wines, and that is our featured winery this week. We have some really exciting wines. The other day, we went and picked up oysters, because I feel like you can't really have Nova Scotia wine without thinking about the incredible seafood they have out there, like the oysters, the lobster, things like that. So we didn't have lobsters. I mean, West Coast lobsters are like blue. If you've ever seen them, they're not like the normal lobsters. So we got oysters and scallops, and we had a freaking feast with these wines. And they go so well with seafood, like better than any wine. It is just Yeah. So good. And like Mike's saying, what a great wine country. I mean, we got wines that are being made at a world-class level from coast to coast, Vancouver Island to Nova Scotia. So yeah, let's talk about this Nova Scotia wine.
Let's talk about it because Domaine de Grand Pre is now the oldest farm, grape farm in Atlantic Canada. They have built on site at the Domaine de Grand Pre. They have a fantastic restaurant. They have an inn, so you can stay there. Like they have the whole hospitality here on site. And this is from a Swiss family, so the Stutz family, Hans Peter. And I think it's in early 1990s, who moved to Nova Scotia and took over the whole domain. Now, Jorg as taking over as a winemaker. It's a full-on family affair of hospitality, from the inn to the restaurant and the winemaking and the viticulture. The whole family is involved. It reminds me a little bit of the Mouchedry family in lands in Lake Erie and North Shore Appalachian, where the grandma is still making the pizza on the Furno pizza oven, and one of the brother is the viticulturist, the other brother is the winemaker, and Melissa is it reminds me a little bit of that family affair. But yeah, so Domaine de Grand Pre, Nova Scotia wine, the Annapolis Valley have such a special terroir, and Mira already talked about that. But to me, it's that salinity, that minerality, the oyster shell kind of feeling and smell when you. That's funny because, as you know, I don't drink and I spit all my wine in the cup. And every time we were tasting through these wines, and every time that I was spitting, I was like, Mira, I can smell the oyster in my spit cup. It's crazy. And we went wash our hand at least 3 times while we were eating ours. We thought it was because of the oyster, but no, the wine itself smelled like oyster shell. More than half of these wines have that salty seawater type of saltiness at the end. It's something unique that you don't find that here in the BC wine. Sometimes, with the volcanic soil, you have that little salinity. It happened at a certain degree, not at the not at the Nova Scotia degree. It's just part of it, right? It's really, 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 really cool. So yeah.
So I have to say 2 things. One is these kinds of families. I mean, you mentioned the Mouchedry family. We recently learned about one called Nighthawk Vineyards right near here in
Okanagan Falls
that we need to go check out. The son, who's only in his early 20s, is the winemaker, and he's making award-winning standout wines. He's apparently quite a genius. He excelled early on in chemistry and math, and this has translated into his wines. And the same thing, they got a brother as a chef doing the kitchen. They've got the parents running the shop and helping with the viticulture. So I love these stories. Mike, the average wine enthusiast, he's saying the family unit knows how to put the love into the wine, and I agree, just because these wines are amazing. So they must have done something really right.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, love for what you do, first and foremost, reflect in the product that you deliver. So this is, to me, a no-brainer. They have a love for what they do, and Jorg is a real genius with the Nova Scotia grape varietals. Now we need to understand. So Nova Scotia, is that exclusively hybrid grape? No, it's not exclusively hybrid grape. They work with hybrid, but their Chardonnay is freaking amazing. Their Riesling is freaking amazing. Their Riesling is one of the standout. Yes, they do have hybrid. They do have what is the key. One of the key grape of Nova Scotia is L'Acadie. L'Acadie grape, L'Acadie Blanc, and it's part of one of the major part of the Tidal Bay wine. Tidal Bay, it's the blend of L'Acadie, of Muscat of New York, of Ortega, and there's 5 or 6 different grapes in that Tidal Bay blend. But L'Acadie Blanc is one of the most grape, and the Céval Blanc as well. And this also to me, this is the standout of the pack. That Nova Scotia Brut, 50-50, L'Acadie Blanc and Céval Blanc. Oh, holy moly. If Nova Scotia is known for something, let's think about Benjamin Bridge, right? Benjamin Bridge, one of the world famous sparkling. Benjamin Bridge is served at some of the top Michelin star in the UK. So Benjamin Bridge, but if you look at it, what do you need to produce great sparkling? You need cold climate and you need minerality. You have that a boatload in Nova Scotia. It's a colder place. You can harvest at the lower brick. You can harvest with like super high acidity, which makes amazing sparkling. So this one for $26, are you kidding me? This is absolutely freaking fantastic. These are made with hybrid, but shows absolutely amazing. Mira, I want to see the picture because we had a little burst of excitement when we opened our Nova Scotia bubbly.
Oh, I'll have to get that for you. Yeah.
Okay. So, but let's talk about the wine one by one. L'Acadie Blanc, 89 points. L'Acadie Blanc, like I said, it's one of the core wine. There are L'Acadie is a little rounder on the mid palate, a little bit of herbaceousness, a little bit of florality, and yeah, a little richer in the mid palate. The Riesling, I talk about it a few times. The definition of flavors, the edges are so defined on that Riesling. You smell it on the nose. You know what? There's a little bit of tropical fruit on the nose. You're like, oh, that's going to be soft. You get that and that zing. It's like, whoa, your eyes are going like, whoa. Like the acid is absolutely incredible. Not offensive acid, but the definition on the edges is like some of the top Riesling from the Beamsville bench, something like that. But there's that salty minerality at the end who makes it wow. So yes, the Riesling to me, with the Riesling and the Brut are my 2 top pick of that one. Really closely behind, really closely behind at the 91 or 90 plus points, the Tidal Bay. So the Tidal Bay is the pride of Nova Scotia. It's a little bit rounder on the mid palate this year, the 2022, than the 2021 was. There's a little bit more body to it. But again, this with that finish, that salty finish, that sea ocean, and that oyster shell type of finish is like absolutely amazing. Slightly off dry at 11 grams of residual sugar, but with that minerality and that acidity, it's not sweet. Just slightly off dry, where a little ripe peach comes in with the Brightmeyer lemon to bring balance. That's how I describe the Tidal Bay. Absolutely amazing. A 90 plus point Chardonnay for $24 or something, all in. Well made, well done, well Chardonnayed from Nova Scotia. It's worth giving it a try. I greatly enjoyed it. The rosé for $16.85. I'll tell you one thing. During rosé day, you're looking for a bone dry rosé. It's made with, I know there's a little splash of Maréchal Foch. I think it's made with L'Acadie Blanc and Maréchal Foch. But it was one of my top, it was like my biggest surprise of rosé day. It was on my my honorable mention. but it's the best value wine. This is not the 2020, the 2022 picture. This is much darker than the 2022. If you get the 2022, you see here, it's much more salmon than what you show. It's not as Maréchal Foch that it was. It's much more on like a little bit of cherry pit, but also lemon, a little bit of peach in it as well. It's soft, but it's also bone dry. It's not too late to get into rosé. I'm telling you, it's just like it's early August. I mean, it's cool to pull a bottle of Nova Scotia wine out of your cellar. Nothing in there is a dud. Nothing. It's an like to me. I was waiting impatiently to feature them again, and finally we had the chance to move forward with the feature, and the timing is perfect. Next week, the Tidal Bay 2022 is part of our feature at the Pan-Canadian. It's going to be the number 2 wine served at the Pan-Canadian to tell that story, but also to enjoy this very unique type of wine that we make here in Canada. There's a red in there. This is a barbecue wine. This is called Castel. The Castel grape, it's an hybrid grape. A little bit like, I would say, the Baco Noir in the same style of hybrid. But this is big and full body. There's much more tannin in the Castel than it is in the Baco. It's grippy. It's rich. It's the mid palate is just full. Like really compact mid palate. It's a little meaty, a little bit floral. There's some spice at the end. So for the meat lover, if you want to experience a 20 like just around the $20 red. I mean, this is a fun wine to get with the grilled meat on the barbecue. I strongly suggest I give it an 89 points. It's honest. It's Nova Scotia. It's at the top end of the hybrid. Like, to be honest, like I'm not usually the biggest fan of hybrid, but this is fun. This is good, and I enjoy that.
Yeah, I did not get the sensation when we were drinking any of those wines where I was like, this must be a hybrid. Like, they were just, and not to say that hybrids are bad. It's just they're different. Like you can tell. You can be like, okay, this is not like normal wine. There's something a little different. It might still be enjoyable. But with these, they were just super enjoyable. You don't even have that thought or idea that there might be something a little bit out of the ordinary, right? They're just special. They're just like so tasty and
yeah, that Castel, I have the Castel served for you, Mira. It's right behind you.
Well, cheers.
Cheers to you, and cheers to all of the family, to York's family, to Cecilia's family, all of the Stutz family in Nova Scotia. Cheers to you guys for the great work you're doing, and it's such a privilege to be sitting here in Summerland, BC, with that really, really, really cool lineup of wine and talking to all Canadian about it. This is one of the coolest things that we do. And yeah, look at that beautiful Nova Scotia lineup here.
Very cool. So you were saying that you kind of slapped around that bubbly, and this is what happened. So it got too cold. And then you left it out in the heat for a little. Anyway, it got a little disoriented. It still tasted amazing, but when Carl went to open it, it was like it told us it wasn't super happy with us. Boom!
Yeah, crazy. So, but even crazier than that picture, after having that massive explosion, we poured 2 great, and look, the bubbles were still like we didn't kill the bottle by doing that. It was still vibrant. The bubbles were alive. It tells me that I love that picture. I really, really love that picture. It's one of my favorite Yeah, and this with the oyster. If you're a bubbly fan, if you like bubbles, do yourself a favor.
10 minutes.
Buy a case of that wine. Get on it at $26. It's traditional method. This is not Charmat. This is the second fermentation in the bottle. I'm telling you, this is worth it. You will take, if you're a fan of bubbly, absolutely, so well priced and so delicious. I wish if I had to order a 6-pack of only one wine in that whole lineup, that's the bubbly. I choose the bubbly personally. It'd be hard maybe between the bubbly and the Tidal B, because the Tidal B is so unique, but the bubbly is out of this world.
It's really good. So yeah, so we talked about the 6 wines, and then we have the l'Acadie Blanc as a bonus pick at $16 odd or so.
Yeah, 1638, I believe, like something crazy affordable. And we have the Novados.
Yeah, this is a little different. So we've never done this before, but we found out that they make this apple brandy, and instead of Calvados like they do in France.
So the Calvados, it's the world most famous apple brandy, right? So they use the oak barrel to age the distill the apple and with the brandy barrel and all of that. So anyway, so they use the same technique than they do in France with the Calvados, and they give it the Nova Scotia twist, and they're calling it the Novados. So I thought it was really cool.
Yeah. So they partnered with a distillery, and they made this. And when we heard about that, we said, that's really cool. There's only like 45 cases or so. So we just made it available. So if anyone wants to add that on, if you're a brandy lover, then you can give that a try. We tasted it. I don't know that much about brandy. And so, you know, I enjoyed it. I thought, I like this with ice. How do you call that? It's not neat, right? Neat is where you
neat is straight up. Neat is straight up.
So I had it straight up in my wine glass, and to me it was a little like strong, especially after I had wine all day. I was like, this is like I can't drink too much of that. But I can imagine with a big ice cube or in a cocktail, that could be really special, and it's cool where it came from. So
no, it's really cool that we have that available. I'm sure that there's some Scotch lover out there, or there's Calvados lover, or any of the brandy or whatever you guys like. But this is a cool thing to have in your bar. So yeah, so this is our offer. And believe it or not, if you go with the Discovery Pack, it's $126. Like, I mean, 6 wines. These 6 wines here. Chardonnay, Riesling, Rosé, the Brut, the Tidal B, and the Castel at $426. And I'm telling you, the Brut is world class. The Riesling is world class. The Chardonnay just rated 90 point plus at the Chardonnay tasting. The Rosé was my top value rosé at the. So I'll tell you one thing. This is a heck of a pack for $126. So it's exciting.
I have to say something. That's plus tax, and then it's plus shipping. The shipping for this pack is between $20 and $40, I believe, which is a little more than what we're used to seeing. But that's because shipping from Nova Scotia, okay, let's look at the map here. Nova Scotia is a big province. That's actually like an island off the coast. Shipping from there, it's very tricky and expensive. And in fact, mainly Canada Post is the only one that does it. And it's not cheap. So that's why they have to charge between $20 and $40, because it probably costs more like $40 to $80.
Yeah, it's an average of $60. It's an average for where our members are. They cut them out on average of $60. $60.
We get the reduced rate of 20 to 40. It's a flat rate, so you don't have to worry what it'll actually end up being. The winery will cover the difference. But I wanted to sort of mention that if you've been thinking about getting a VIP Plus or VIP Unlimited membership, that covers you for a whole year. So the VIP Unlimited, it's $159 for the year. I have a monthly option coming very soon. We're launching finally the archive and the
Website.
new entire website with the login in the next week. We have Monday blocked off to get you all excited about that, but might come sooner than that. And so if you've been thinking about upgrading, this is a good one to upgrade because you would get the shipping free for 6 or more bottles.
There you go. So that's our $126 feature with Domaine de Grand Pre, Nova Scotia wines, including the 2022 Title Day White, which will be served at the Pan-Canadian next week in Niagara on the Lake as one of the 10 wines selected for that first ever Pan-Canadian Wine Masterclass. So this is, and these guys there, these 5 guys, plus probably another one, will all be on site sharing their story. There's Lou Puglisi, owner at Bellaterra. There's Brian Schmidt, owner, winemaker at Vineland Estate. There's Elias Senchuk, owner, winemaker at Leaning Post. There's Rob Amersley, owner, winemaker at Black Market Wine Company here in BC. There's Keith Tyre, experienced winemaker and rockstar winemaker at Clawson Chase in Prince Edward County. And we're talking with Richard De Silva, a legendary vigneron from here in the Okanagan, who will probably make the trip as well. So it's next Thursday. There's a few tickets available.
Next Friday.
Sorry, Friday.
August.
Yes, on the 18th.
So now that we're on that topic, let's see if we can play Marcel, who had the courage to go live this morning on TV.
What do you mean the courage? That's where he shines, for God's sake. That's where he's at his best. You put a camera in front of that guy, and he's like the freaking Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister.
Oh,
I don't want to compare him to Justin. I don't want to call him Justin Trudeau, but
I just don't know how that goes for different people. I have no idea. Maybe it's a compliment, maybe not. But let's play the video. He did an amazing job, and we're so grateful to Marcel for going live to talk about the masterclass.
Why not, eh? Why not a few
they make
ads?
us play these. Sorry.
Why not? Oh, here you go.
Yeah.
There's no volume, Mira.
Yes, there is. We're gonna have to put that in the comments, I guess. If you're not getting,
I don't know. I had no volume, so.
Yeah, it's working on my side, but you guys probably can't hear you. So I'm just gonna hear it. So I'm gonna put it in the comments. You guys can watch that live little clip. we're so grateful that Marcel did that and went live on TV to talk about the masterclass. And we will share lots about it if you cannot make it in person. But if you can, then that's awesome too.
Yeah, because there's a few tickets left, and yeah, join us. It's going to be a heck of an event. The first ever Pan-Canadian Wine Masterclass hosted by at Bellaterra and made possible with the sponsorship of Lakeview Equipment, Harvest Equipment, and Joe Pilateri, and also Mira. Can I please have the sponsor logo, please?
Yes, it's ASL. Just one sec. Let's make sure we get the name bang on.
Well, I just don't want to flip a couple letters and like make a fool of myself. So ASL, there you go. ASL Print Epics. And Lakeview Vineyard Equipment. So these two businesses step up the plate and really made that trip and that project coming together last minute. So thank you, Joe Pilateri. Thank you at ASL and all the team. So
absolutely.
There you go. There you go. So that was a full show here. There was a busy one.
Yeah. It's great to see you guys. Keep your eyes peeled for this bad boy. All the info on the Chardonnay report, the written report, coming along on our new website with its blog and all that stuff. So links coming soon. In the meantime, if you're going to get to Niagara, sign up for those events. And if you're going to be ordering Domaine de Grand Pre, you've got until Sunday with the reduced shipping rates or free if you're a VIP Plus or unlimited member. So have fun exploring these wines. We sure as hell did. And it's great to learn about the Stutz family's legacy that they're creating with Domaine de Grand Pre. So grateful to them for making such great quality stuff.
Absolutely.
And I hope you guys have a fabulous one.
Canadian wine lovers, Carl's Wine Club members, all of you guys across the country, thank you very much. Mira Boucher, have a good rest of your evening.
Have a great evening, guys. Cheers.